Welcome, focused learners, to today's explainer. We are unpacking a massive, incredibly frustrating hurdle in language learning. If you're someone who's been putting in the work, poring over textbooks, studying grammar rules for hours on end, yet you still feel completely blocked when it's actually time to speak, well, you are in exactly the right place. We spend so much time obsessing over grammar books only to find it just doesn't translate into real-life conversations. Today, we're going to break down some absolutely fascinating insights that will fundamentally shift how you approach your English. Let's get right into it.
Have you ever felt completely stuck in your own mind when you try to speak English? It's this silent, isolating struggle that so many of us face. Just imagine the scenario. You're reading an article or you're listening to someone speak and you understand absolutely everything. You know the vocabulary perfectly. But the exact moment it's your turn to open your mouth and reply, boom, everything suddenly goes blank. Your chest gets tight. You experience that agonizing physical sensation of hesitation. You feel this immense pressure weighing on you, thinking, oh no, what if I say it wrong? It's incredibly frustrating, right? Because you know the words are in there, but your brain just won't let them out. Listen, you are definitely not alone in this. This exact fear is the single biggest thing stopping millions of learners from ever reaching fluency.
So the crucial point is that fluency is absolutely not about memorizing a massive dictionary or just cramming in more words. Fluency is about training your brain to speak without fear. When you feel that anxiety creeping in, your brain literally shifts into a stress response. That fear actively blocks the cognitive pathways you need for language recall. Overcoming that hesitation and actively letting go of the fear of making mistakes is the true fundamental path to unlocking the English you already have stored up in your brain. You don't need more vocabulary, you just need to lower that mental blockade.
To make this transformation happen, we really need to change how we think. And that brings us to Section 1, Skill over Subject, a new mindset for English.
Okay, let's dive into this. We need to compare the old way of treating English like some rigid academic subject to something much more dynamic. The old way? That's obsessing over grammar rules, filling out endless worksheets, and aiming for absolute textbook perfection. But to speak fluently, you must start treating English like a skill. Think about driving a car or riding a bicycle. When you're behind the wheel, navigating a busy street, you aren't actively reciting the rules of the road in your head. You definitely aren't thinking about the mechanics of an internal combustion engine. You just drive. You rely on reflexes, muscle memory, and practice. The exact same shift has to happen in your speaking journey. You gotta move away from conscious recitation and lean into the practical reflex of just communicating.
Perfection kills progress. This is a profound, absolutely crucial takeaway from our source material today. If you sit around waiting until you can formulate a completely flawless sentence before you speak, you are completely stopping your own momentum. Think about the cognitive load happening in your brain when you try to construct the perfect sentence. You're juggling vocabulary, verb tenses, and sentence structure all at the exact same time. That mental overload, that is exactly what causes stuttering and hesitation. Waiting for perfection isn't making you a better speaker, it's the exact thing fueling your anxiety and keeping you silent. You literally have to give yourself permission to be messy.
We need to completely reframe how we view errors. Actually, scratch that. A mistake is not a failure at all. It is simply a sign that your brain is actively learning something new. It's the whole concept of failing forward. When you speak and make an error, you aren't failing. Your brain is actually doing the heavy lifting of mapping out correct neural pathways. It's just like a muscle tearing slightly to grow stronger. Your brain needs these errors to build automatic English responses. The more you allow yourself to just speak, mistakes and all, the more your brain adapts. And that hesitation, slowly but surely, starts disappearing.
Which brings us to the really actionable part of our explainer. Section 2, The Confidence Secret, Reprogramming Your Mind. Let's get into the how-to. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this concept flips everything you've probably been told completely upside down. We usually think, well, I'll speak once I feel confident, right? We wait for this magical day when we feel perfectly ready. But that is the ultimate confidence trap. The most powerful secret here is that confidence does not come before speaking, it comes after speaking. You actually have to force yourself to take action and speak out loud first before the confidence can ever exist. Action creates confidence, no way around it. Every single time you push through the fear and speak, you are literally reprogramming your mind to realize that speaking isn't dangerous. So how do we practically apply this? Our source outlines 3 highly effective steps to reprogram your mind. First up, start small. We're talking about even just 30 seconds of effort. Why so short? because it dramatically lowers the barrier to entry, making it practically impossible for you to make excuses. Second, you must speak out loud every single day to build that vocal muscle memory. And third, oh man, this is a massive one. Stop translating from your native language. When you translate, you add an unnecessary middle step that severely slows down your processing speed. It forces you to overthink. You need to bypass that translation phase entirely and force your brain to operate directly in simple English.
If you're wondering what that actually looks like in everyday life, listen. You don't need a textbook or a conversation partner to start. Just imagine waking up tomorrow. As you make your morning coffee, describe the process out loud to yourself. I am pouring the water. The coffee smells great. On your commute, speak your thoughts to yourself in the car. As you walk down the street, name the objects you see around you. Actively choose to think in simple English phrases and surround yourself with the language daily. By narrating your day out loud, you normalize the physical feeling of speaking English, completely free from the crushing pressure of an audience judging you.
And this brilliantly illustrates our ultimate goal perfectly. Fluency is not about sounding like a textbook. It's about expressing yourself naturally and clearly. Remember, the end goal of language isn't grammatical perfection, it's human connection. Even native speakers make grammatical errors all the time in casual conversation. They use filler words, they restart their sentences, they mess up tenses, and you know what? Nobody cares, because communication is happening. Don't be afraid of sounding imperfect. Nobody expects you to be a walking grammar manual. They just want to connect with you, share ideas, and understand your perspective.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Are you ready to stop searching for words? Take a moment to really imagine what that feels like. If you stay consistent with this approach, treating English like a daily reflex instead of an academic subject, embracing your mistakes as proof of actual learning, and taking action to speak out loud before you feel ready, you will experience a profound shift. One day, you'll be in a conversation, and you'll suddenly realize you aren't searching anymore. The mental block will be gone, and the words will simply come to you automatically. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now get out there and start speaking without fear.